Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, the thing on BookTube that everyone talks about but nobody acknowledges. Over the years, I've been involved in a number of different online communities. So watch collecting communities, gaming communities, book blogging communities, by which I mean like old style WordPress style blogs. In the time that I've been on BookTube, I've noticed something about BookTube which I haven't found to be true in any of those other communities. I don't know if this thing is unique to BookTube. Do let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you've witnessed it in other communities. But to me, it feels like it might be unique to BookTube. I'll get to telling you what that thing is in a moment. But first, I just wanted to say that I think this is both a positive and a negative thing. I'm certainly not making this video to be critical of my fellow booktubers, and I am just as guilty of doing this thing as other people are. And as I say, I think there are many positive things about this. I think in some ways it is one of the great strengths of the BookTube community, but equally it has caused problems in the BookTube community in the past. I think when there has been discord in the BookTube community, it's been because of this thing. So let me tell you what it is. I think that as well as being obsessed with books, BookTube is obsessed with BookTube. There is a huge amount of navel gazing that goes on BookTube, which ranges from being like genuinely interesting and thoughtful and useful, particularly useful for new people joining the community, to being kind of a bit pointless, but still, you know, completely justified. It's completely justified for people who are part of a community to think about that community and reflect on that community. And at times I think it strays into being judgmental and gatekeepery and therefore not helpful at all. Now, I could at this point put up clips of other booktubers talking about BookTube to illustrate my point. I'm not going to do that, partly because I don't want to be seen to be singling out individuals, but also because I'm just as guilty of this as anybody else, as I've said. But I think if you were to just search the term BookTube, you would find on YouTube loads of videos that are talking about BookTube rather than talking about books. I've had dozens of them served up to me in my feed just in the last week or so. And I think it's interesting that BookTube is so into talking about BookTube. It's interesting that BookTube is so reflective. And I think in part, at least, that comes from the fact that many of us on BookTube are, and I 100% count myself in this, are quite introverted people. And so doing this thing that we do, you know, coming on and talking, is not natural. It certainly doesn't feel like something that comes naturally to me. And so I think we tend to maybe be more self-critical than people in other corners of YouTube are about our own content, and more thoughtful about our own content, and maybe worry about our own content a bit more than we might do if we were more extroverted kinds of individuals. And as I say, I think this can be really helpful. I think one of the great strengths of the BookTube community is things like the BookTube newbie tag and the way it is there for new booktubers to introduce themselves to the community and for existing members of that community to make those connections with the new booktubers and hopefully, you know, help them in some way to grow their channels and grow their audience. And I think book tag videos more broadly do that as well. Many of the book tag videos are as much about the process of doing BookTube as they are about actual individual books. And I think that is in many ways a really good thing, because it helps people who've maybe got a bit more experience of doing BookTube videos to share that experience with other people. And certainly those videos tend to do quite well. And I'm interested to know from people out there who watch BookTube videos who aren't booktubers, what your opinion of videos that are about BookTube rather than books is. Do you watch them? Do you find them interesting? Do you find, like, hearing about people's thought processes in making BookTube videos, is that something is that something you find interesting and want to consume, or are you just here for the books? Because it does feel to me that probably 25%, that may be slightly exaggeration, but about 25% of BookTube is about BookTube rather than being about books. It's almost like BookTube rather than BookTube. And I think the flip side of this obsession that BookTube has with itself is that sometimes, because there are so many videos that are about BookTube, some of those can come across wrong. I suspect, the vast majority of the time they are made with good intentions, but sometimes they can feel critical of other people's way of doing things, of other people's approach to BookTube. By saying, I think this is how you should do BookTube, sometimes that can sound like saying, I don't think you should do it this way, which isn't, I'm sure, what people intend when they make videos like that, but it can come across like that. And I certainly made at least one video in the past, which I made in good faith, which some people, interpreted in a slightly different way. So I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think it can be a wonderful, wonderful part of the community, but at other times it can cause upset and antagonism between members of the community. And that's a real shame, because one of the things that I think is amazing about the BookTube community compared to other online communities I've been involved in the past is the fact that we are so good at disagreeing agreeably about books. We are united by our love of books, and it always feels like we're united by our love of books. You tend not to get on BookTube, I certainly haven't witnessed it, that kind of like tribal rivalry between, fans of horror fiction and fans of romance fiction. You don't get those kind of clashes that you do sometimes in other communities where, this is probably a terrible example, but like Marvel and DC fans, going at each other. You just don't see that on BookTube. Everybody seems to be quite able to get along even if they don't like the same books, and what unites us, as I say, is our love of books and our love of talking about and discussing books. And I know that there are people who watch my channel who comment, who say, I don't like the vast majority of the books you read, but I enjoy hearing you talk about books. So I think that is a huge strength of the BookTube community. And I think the other strength is that the community as a whole, and the fact that it is so welcoming, and the fact that introspection, that talking about BookTube is really, really useful at times for new creators, but also probably sometimes for people who maybe have been doing it for a while but feel like they're running out of ideas, feel like things are getting a bit stale. I think watching videos about BookTube can be really useful at those moments to help reinvigorate your own interest in your channel. But as I say, sometimes it can cause problems. And it is just, I think, noteworthy that we are collectively, and as I say, I include myself in this, that we are collectively so interested in talking about the BookTube process. And clearly this video is another example of that. Anyway, do let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.